We are live, brother.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to a surprise live episode of Vol Talk. We pulled the old switcheroo on you guys. We told you that we'd be doing the premiere style for our Tuesday night episodes, but fortune smiled on us and our scheduling opened up. We were able to go live. So we're here live. I'm pretty tired, Austin, but
He
we are
is.
live. That's
Well,
what counts.
we're here.
Uh, we are here. We are here. You are here, folks, with Austin and Blake. Myself being Blake, that being my brother Austin. We are two brothers who love to talk all things volunteer sports. And today, Austin, we are bringing the good folks, a little mid-season, nearly mid-season content. We are officially on bye week, Austin.
Yep.
So hey, the bad news about bye week is that you can't get another W, but the good news about bye week is you can't get an L.
Yeah,
So we're
swear.
riding through the bye week. But we wanted to bring you guys a little content. So Austin, what we're going to do today is we're going to do just a little season check-in. We're going to kind of review how the season has gone so far. We are going to get a quick check in on our watch for Voltalk Awards. Spoiler, there might be one or two players who are kind of dominating most of the awards so
True.
far. Uh, and then, of course, we're going to talk about the big question, which is how do we get to the playoffs from here? Sitting at 4-1 currently on the year. So, Austin, some good stuff to talk about tonight, and we're gonna go through how we're feeling about the season so far.
Yeah, man. Ready to get into it. It's going to be a fun show. Got some fun advanced statistics for y'all today, dropping some numbers, which, we like to do. I like the numbers and the story. So, going to go over a little bit of both, but especially the numbers in this episode. So that should be fun. And yeah, get to talk about how we're going to make the playoffs, dude. And if we can do it, which spoiler, I think we can.
Spoiler, I think we're probably gonna predict that we can, but we got to talk about how we can do it. So, yeah, it's always a fun time when you got those advanced numbers for us, Austin. I love it. That kind of paints the picture. We talk about on this podcast, the numbers don't lie, brother. And so, just like the ball don't lie. So, can't wait to go over that, folks. But as always, first and foremost, if you're joining us, which Austin, we already got people off to the races joining us. Good folks in the stream already, good folks watching after the fact, please like the video first and foremost. That's the biggest thing that can help us. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, folks, join the conversation. Folks are already off to the races in the conversation here in the chat, Austin. We've got Lamones Jr. Welcome, Lamones. Good to see you again, buddy. Rhonda in the chat. Welcome, Rhonda. She says, "Oh wow, hey there, go Vols!" Surprise, Rhonda. We are able to go live tonight, so we're thankful for that. Lynn says, "Let's go." Awesome. We got a good crew already here in the chat. And Lamos says, "Yeah, gonna be nice watching
Yes.
stress-free football this week.
Agreed.
That is what a bye week is good for sure." So yeah, Rhonda's agreeing that her heart gets to rest on Saturday. So Austin, let's get right into
Let's go.
the season review so far, man. So we are 5 games into the season, nearly, and with the passing of the bye week, it'll be the 6th week into the season. So almost halfway through the season. We have our bye week. We are 5 games in, 4-1, nearly unblemished. One missed 43-yard field goal away from being perfect and potentially the talk of college football with our quarterback. We'll kind of hash all those things out, but what are your thoughts overall on the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me we were going to be 4-1 heading into the bye week. Would have assumed the loss was to Georgia, but that also means we took care of two of the bigger games on our schedule. So the Syracuse game to start the year, and then at Mississippi State. So that's it's It's not perfect, obviously, like you said, because especially how we lost to Georgia is still extremely disappointing. But dude, man, speaking of my stats, looking at some things, looking at the bye week and some guys getting healthy, I am very excited about this football team and the projection going forward. I'll always say that it's still, it's a week to week season, so it's going to be tough. When we get into the playoff projection, it's tough to be like, oh, this is for sure a win because things change. But still, dude, I'm very optimistic about the team and how they played so far. Like you said, at the end of the day, we are a 43-yard field goal away from being undefeated in top five in the country, which is both encouraging and very upsetting because we didn't hit that 43-yard
Yeah.
field goal. But we won't, keep, talking about that because there are a lot of positives, man. A lot of positives, especially with our quarterback.
Yes, absolutely. We're not going to dwell on the heartbreaking missed field goal. Obviously, it is. We bring it up because it's relevant. I mean, it's just that. Despite the way Georgia fans are talking, Tennessee is one 43-yard field goal miss away from being undefeated, and like you said, top five. And so, yes, that's a double-edged sword. But the point being is we have shown that we can play with anyone in the country right now, and so that's huge. And like you said, the biggest storyline for me is not only that we appear to be poised to be able to make the playoffs again. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we are not only is it not a drop off like the media told us it was going to be because of our quarterback situation, it in fact appears that we are even better. In fact, we are vastly better because of the insane play of Joey the Fireman Aguilar so far. Austin, talk us through Joey's season so far.
Yeah, I'll go back to one thing you said a little bit ago, which is, the way Georgia fans are talking, you would think they dominated all 60 minutes of the football game, and that
Yeah.
the lowly Vols are lucky to be in it at the end. I I don't see it that way. I see us as having some of the high end talent in the country, and I have proof of that, which my proof is NFL projection, Blake. NFL projection wise, this team has right now what I've seen from mock drafts, what I've seen from articles, has about four potential first round draft picks, which is more than Georgia. It's more than Alabama. In fact, it's more than Georgia and Alabama combined at the moment. So that just tells you the potential high end talent on this football team. And that doesn't include the guy you just, teed me up for, which is Joey Aguilar, which, dude, I'm doing some of this advanced research. It's actually unbelievable that how good he's been. For one, how good he's been. I mean, listen, we both expected him to be better than Nico. We said that coming into the year.
Right.
Didn't expect him to be this good.
Yeah.
I just didn't. He has been
Exactly.
one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and hard stop, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And dude, I hate talking Heisman, Blake. I do. I hate talking Heisman this time of year because we're only 5 games into the year. However, the fact that Joey Aguilar is on 0 Heisman list. I mean, I've seen him on absolutely no Heisman list whatsoever. On 3 released a list of Heisman candidates. Top 10. First of all, way too big for a Heisman list. Top 10 is ridiculously too many. Only 4 guys get an invite to New York. So for one, I hate the list already. But for two, 5 SEC quarterbacks make that list, Blake, and none of them are named Joey Aguilar. And I have some stats, like I'm talking just basic stats and advanced statistics that say that I have no idea how they came to that conclusion. It's just incorrect. It's an incorrect conclusion to come to. And Blake, you have to agree with me on this. Had we hit the 43-yard field goal, he might be
Completely
top
different.
3 on the list. He might be number 1. And
Exactly.
that's the frustrating thing to me because for one, a lot of Heisman is story, right? No one has a better story than Joey. Are you kidding me? Between the trade and everything,
Literally no one.
no one has a better
Yeah.
story than Joey. And we're talking, listen, Joey put us in position to win the game. You can debate the coach decisions. You can debate, the 4th and 6 we gave up to let Georgia tie it. At the end of the day, Joey put us in position to win that game on the final drive. No one can argue with that. But the difference of him being not in the top 10 of a Heisman list with 5 SEC quarterbacks and being literally potentially number one is his kicker hitting a 43-yard field goal. I have a problem with that. I just have an issue with that, man. I think it's a ridiculous way to do the list, and it's a ridiculous way to view the sport.
Truly, truly ridiculous. I mean, and again, it just kind of speaks to the fact that the media, I mean, clowns. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it, clowns. Okay, especially the people who vote on the Heisman, people who vote on the AP poll.
The
They
worst.
just continue to show how much of clowns they are. They clearly haven't watched Tennessee football, because if you watch Tennessee football, you would know how Joey Aguilar has put us in a position to win these games and has won us these games. I mean, think about Mississippi State, right? And that, game tying drive that you talked about against Mississippi State. And people can say all the live long day, oh, it was Mississippi State. Yeah, it was an SEC football game on the road. Let's not talk. I mean, newsflash, Vandy's in the top 15 or top 16 or whatever. I mean, the SEC has got some parity these days,
Oh, no question. More than any conference, by the way, and it's not close.
Mhm.
And Blake, the people who are mentioning Mississippi State, they haven't watched the games this year. It's okay that you haven't watched the games, but you haven't watched the games. They gave up less than 100 passing yards to Sam Levitt in Arizona State. By the way, Blake, Arizona State has considered the best NFL draft prospect at receiver, with Tyson at receiver, Jordan Tyson. And I'm not screw up his first name, but it doesn't matter. Tyson at receiver, he's the number one draft prospect in the country at wide receiver. And Sam Levitt, who's considered a good college quarterback, and they gave up 82 passing yards to them. I mean, Mississippi State's defense is way better than people give it credit for, and we're truly the only offense that took advantage of it. And dude, you talked about the AP poll voters earlier. I would guess, Blake, and you'll have to let me know what you think of this. I would guess at least 60 to 70% of the AP voters do not watch the games on Saturdays. At least 50%. I think it's at the very least 50% of the people who make and vote on the AP poll do not watch the football games on a Saturday, which seems like a pretty important part of voting on the AP poll is actually viewing the games that happen and deciding the rankings based on that.
Exactly. You gotta, I mean, literally, it's like a meme of, freaking Bart Simpson having a blindfold on, and like you're trying to find your way, and like you're sitting here voting on a, best teams in the country poll, and you haven't even seen the teams play. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. But point we're making is it's ludicrous and blasphemous and freaking, ridiculous. All the us's that Joey Aguilar is not at least being talked about, like, hey, we need to start thinking about this guy because of the way he's been playing. Quick catch up on the chat here, Austin. Speaking of the Heisman race, Vol Don't Lie says both him, Joey Aguilar, and Chris Brazzell should both be in the Heisman race. I've seen some people talking about Brazzell and how the kind of season he's having. And so I don't know if I disagree. I don't think I disagree with Vol Don't Lie there. Bender Strings talking about his prediction for our final record. So Bender Strings, we're going to get to that at the end of the show, and kind of our roadmap to the playoffs. How do we get to the playoffs? Those tough games that you just noted, Bama, Oklahoma, looking like one of the best teams in the country. So we'll talk about that. Let's see here. Lynn pointing out the AP poll, us being 15 for the last 3 weeks. That's another point. It's like, the AP poll at this point, I wish people would just stop talking about it. It's a joke.
Agreed.
The media's a joke.
It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah. I love this point out from Vol Don't Lie. Who else prays with the opposite team's chaplain? Nobody but Joey. You loved, me, Austin, me and you talked about that. Seeing that on social media, and the fact that we upgraded at quarterback in every possible way. Shout out to Daniel in the chat, Daniel Hightower. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome, my wife, Rachel, in the chat. And then David Farrar, shout out. David Farrar, I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before, so let me shout out David's chat here. When most non-Vols see Pantone 151 orange, they discount that what UT has achieved. National sports writers are so biased as a whole. Exactly. I mean, it's just at this point, it's like the evidence has built to a point where it's getting hard to deny the media's disgruntledness with Tennessee, Austin. So, but regardless, we know how well Joey Aguilar has played. He has played absolutely phenomenally so far. Even the turnovers have been largely not his fault.
Oh
What
yeah,
other?
got some stats
Keep
behind that,
bring,
brother.
keep bringing some stats, brother. Bring us the
I'll,
truth.
Yeah, I'll start. Listen, we've talked about the story, right? The story is one of the best in the sport, dude. And we've harped on that. It's the trade. It's the he was going to quit football to be a fireman. Blah blah blah. So you would think the media would gravitate towards this story. So he's got the story checked off. He's also had Heisman moments. Like one of his big Heisman moment, Blake, was the drive against Georgia to lead him to that game-winning kick that he missed. That's unfortunate. The Mississippi State, obviously, game tying drive, whatever. That's a Heisman moment, in my opinion. But I've got the hardcore numbers as well. I'll bring some of the basic stuff first. Passing yards, Blake. He is sixth in college football and passing yards, first in the SEC with 1,465 passing yards. Passing touchdowns, fifth in the country, first in the SEC. Add with 13 passing touchdowns, add on 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And then I've got some advanced stuff I'd like to go over as well, Blake. PFF passing grade. Okay, I use PFF a lot. They grade every player from every play in every game, Blake. That's what PFF does. They have somebody watching every single play, and it's not just the TV broadcast either. We're talking about all 22 tape. That's what PFF does. They are tape watchers. They watch every player from every game. He is 8th in the college football in passing grade, Blake. 2nd in the SEC. Just to throw a little shade at Nico here, Nico is ranked 66th in college football. So, you do the math on that. I think top 10 is a little better than top 66. And that might be a little generous if we're being completely honest. Yards per attempt. This is a number I like, Blake. Yards per attempt. It's just I think it's better than just yards. It kind of paints a picture of efficiency. 9.3. That's top 10 in the country, 9th in college football, 3rd in the SEC. You mentioned the turnovers, Blake, how his turnovers, like that was his biggest question coming here, right? Is he going to be able to take care of the ball? And he's had quite literally some of the worst turnover luck in college football. And I have some numbers to back that up. Turnover worthy play, that's a metric PFF uses to basically determine whether a turnover is a quarterback's fault. That's the easiest way I can put that. His turnover worthy play percentage, Blake, is 0.6. That's 4th best in college football.
Wow.
And dude, he's behind 3 guys with 0%. He's first in the SEC. What's crazy about this stat too, Blake, is I told you he's 4th best, right? In the entire country. He has 39 more dropbacks than everyone ahead of him. The reason I bring that up is he's had a larger sample than every single player ahead of him. So if you add 39 dropbacks to those other quarterbacks, it's likely that they have a turnover ready play at that point. It's insane, dude. He's done an elite job at taking care of the ball. Unfortunately, he's been incredibly unlucky, though, with turning the ball over.
Yeah, it's so again between that and his kicker missing a field goal. I mean, it's just it's unlucky. It's kind of unfair, but I'm hoping, man, by the end of the season, the ball won't lie, and we will get some justice for Joey. Austin, I'm going to check in on the chat here real quick here. I like Lynn's comment. Lynn says, we're not losing to Alabama. Coach is going to put you in, Austin, after the half. I tell you what, if we're putting Austin in, then I tell you what, we're going to have a comfortable lead. I tell you what.
We must be up by 200 at that point at the half if we're doing that.
We must be up by 200. Rhonda talking about the AP voters and the Heisman voters. She says, if you can figure out how they do their voting, please pick my lottery numbers. Vol don't lie. talking about how the world's glazing Gunnar Stockton for his passes, but Joey's been legit with his big passes. And Austin, I think another thing too, and I love the stats that you bring up because that's like, again, you can't argue with the stats, but also it's the intangibles, right,
Yeah,
Austin? And we
exactly.
talk about the story, but also Joey Aguilar's been such an amazing leader, ice in his veins. And so it's like, how can you, because that's part of what being the Heisman is too, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you look at players like Tim Tebow and all these other great players who were great leaders, and Joey Aguilar has that so far. So, and then also real quick, Jace in the chat, welcome Jace. Yes, we are live, Jace. We surprised you guys tonight with a live episode, so welcome Jace.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to the stream. But yeah, Austin, I mean, just Joey's leadership has been incredible so far.
Incredible, and it's a great point, dude. And I have some more stats to bring as well. But you're right. It's the story, it's the intangibles, it's everything. But again, the advanced metrics speak so highly of Joey as well. So we're talking about turnover being kind of unlucky with his turnovers and how he's actually done a really good job of taking care of the ball. Part of the reason he's been unlucky with turnovers, Blake, is this stat. Now, this is you can look at this two ways. You can look at this as a positive and a negative. From Joey's perspective, it's very positive, but from the receiver's perspective, it's not great. So, drop percentage, Blake. PFF does drop percentage. Drops on target passes dropped, or excuse me, on target passes dropped by the receiver. Okay, that's a stat that they have. For all these, by the way, I did a 50% minimum dropbacks. That's just a side note. But anyways, 12.8% of Joey's on target passes have been dropped this year, Blake. That's seventh most in college football. Seventh most in college football, first in the SEC. He also, once again, has more attempts than everyone ahead of him. So he has a bigger sample, more passes, and a very high percentage of Joey Aguilar's passes have been dropped. So, he's been extremely productive. He's leading the SEC in passing yards and passing touchdowns. But B, he's been the unluckiest in the conference and seventh most in college football in drops. Now, I think our receivers have been good this year. We're going to talk about Chris Brazzell here in a minute and the receivers as a whole. I think they've been good. But dude, I mean, we're talking about a dude who is, I mean, he should be so far ahead of everyone in passing yards and passing touchdowns if he hasn't gotten so unlucky with unlucky turnovers and receivers letting him down at the end of the day, man. I mean, I think our receivers have been good, but they've struggled with drops by that stat. I mean, seventh in college football, that's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, and as much as we're going to give praise to our receivers and Brazzle, and of course Brazzle, you don't include Brazzle's name in that.
No.
Right? What is he? He's got like maybe one drop on the year or something like that. So, but yeah, these other receivers, we're going to give them praise, but by the same token, there is room for improvement. Absolutely. And so, man, it's in between that and
It's
speaking
nuts.
of Brazzle and the OPI call again and
Yes,
Mississippi
and they're not
State
even
taking off
counting that.
another,
That's the thing.
not
That's a touchdown off the
exactly, not
board,
even
Blake.
counting that literal touchdown and what was it, like 50 or 60 yards total?
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
how much does that you shoot him up another few slots, on these ranking or on stats, from that?
so here's another thing, man. So he's gotten unlucky with drops. He's gotten unlucky with turnovers. He's done a great job at not turning the ball over. Great passing grade. Another thing I look at with quarterbacks, Blake, which this is a main thing that we've been comparing him with Nico with, because this is one of Nico's biggest issues, which is pressure to sack percentage, Blake. What that basically means
Yes.
is the amount of pressures that turn into sacks for Joey Aguilar. Very important number for quarterbacks because a lot of casual fans, they make the mistake of thinking offensive line is the biggest reason for sacks. Like they blame the sacks on the offensive line almost 100% of the time. You shouldn't look at it like that. A lot of it has to do with the quarterback. And can the quarterback evade the sack, or can he get rid of the ball on time, and can he process quickly? This is another unreal stat, dude. 5.4% of his pressures turn into sacks, Blake. That's good for fifth in college football and first in the country, or first in the SEC. fifth in college football.
Wow.
I just got done. And by the way, I'll throw out one more thing. His ADOT, which is average depth of target, Blake, is 9.7, which is 24th in the FBS. The only reason I bring that up is for the people that want to say, well, maybe it's a dink and dunk offense and he just doesn't, he's not putting the ball deep down the field, so he's not going to turn the ball over. No, it's one of the highest average depth of targets in entire college football. Like, he's asked to throw downfield, he's asked to make tough, tight window throws. He's just been able to do it. But going back to that pressure to sack, man, that is so crucial for quarterbacks, man. That's one of the things that translates to the next level more than anything, which is, can the quarterback evade sacks? Can he not take the negative plays? And dude, we brought up sack numbers, I think on our season preview, Blake, how like an absurd amount of drives in a football game that result in a sack are basically always result in a punt or a negative. Like, you don't
Right.
score on those drives. I think it's like 85% or something, or maybe even 88% of drives that have a sack don't result in points. It's an absurd amount, and those numbers might not be perfect, but point being is, man, every aspect of the game. I just got done saying, and how many of these stats was he first, second, or third in the SEC, Blake? And again,
Yeah.
going back to that Heisman list, 5 SEC quarterbacks were in this Heisman list. Joey Aguilar wasn't one of them. Like, what metrics are you using?
What world?
What
What
metrics
world are
are
you
you
living in?
using? And is it, and just be honest, is it the 4-1? Because if it's the 4-1, you're really, really bad at your job. You're really, really bad at your job, because you can't even simply say, okay, was Aguilar the reason for the one, or did he put his team in position to win that game? And the answer is, he's absolutely put his team in position to win that game. And he checks every other box, Blake. The intangibles, like you said, but also, again, how clutch has he been, man? Every time he's been
Yeah.
asked to get his team in position to win the game or tie the game in the fourth quarter, in 2 SEC games too. We're talking like, we've had good competition so far. We've played Syracuse, Mississippi State, and Georgia. That's some of the, I mean, Texas hasn't even played a conference game yet, Blake. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly.
So he's answered the competition question. He's put his team in position to win when they need him to. And like you said, man, the story and the intangibles, it's everything. So why isn't he getting that national recognition? I don't know. Other than, like you always point out, there has to be some kind of bias, because like, how else can you get to that conclusion?
The power T, brother. The power T. It has power among the fans and among college football, and they hate that. So I don't know, man. It's crazy, and I'm glad you brought up the competition point too, because that's another thing. How many? Hey, we'll see you later, Jace. Have a good night. Appreciate you dropping in. How many of these people, on the list for all of college football haven't, like Texas, haven't played a conference game yet, or have been playing against lesser competition, or let's just put it this way, haven't played the Georgia defense, right? I mean, we have already played one of the probably top 5 defenses in the country, or at least top 10 defense in the country, right? And like you said, Mississippi State's defense is nothing to scoff at. Syracuse's team is nothing to scoff at. So, man, it's crazy the amount of disrespect. But our fans know what's up. Our fans know how great Joey is. Rhonda saying in the chat that she's listening and watching Joey's gets her pumped. He has the look of, that's my team. I'm living my dream. Yeah, and that's his story is so cool, right, Austin? And just the fact that he's been able to lead the team is absolutely incredible. Speaking of QB stats, Vol Don't Lie, talking about Jarrett Garantano's channel. If we've seen it, yes, I've seen that Jarrett Garantano, old JG, has hit the YouTube. Listen, folks, if you want to go tag him, let him know about Vol Talk. We'd love to have him on the pod sometime. To talk about this stuff. It'd be really cool to do a collab with Jarrett Garantano. So, and then let's see here. Let me catch up on chat. Jay saying go Vandy. Look, I do want to. I'm glad Jay said that, actually, because he's a non-Vols fan. But they are playing Alabama this week during our bye week. As much as annoying as Vanderbilt has become, Pavia, all of that, I need to educate some Vols fans, because I've seen some say on social media, hey, they hope Vandy gets beat to shut him up.
No,
No, no.
no. And
Alabama is enemy number one
correct.
forever and always.
We don't
I
care
don't care
about
who
Vandy.
else.
We don't care about Vandy, people.
No, no
Don't
one
worry
cares
about
about
what
Vandy.
Vandy's doing. I agree with you, and we got to give Lynn credit first because he said it first. He said his what he say something about his favorite two teams are playing this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
And he's like, one of them's whoever Alabama's playing, so go Vandy. I totally agree with that, Lynn. Like it is. I saw that
Yes.
comment too on Twitter, Blake. No. We don't concern ourselves with what Vandy's doing. They can do whatever. Okay, they can just if they keep winning, that'll just boost our resume when we beat them in Neyland by 21 plus. We always root against Bama. Listen, the biggest problem with last weekend, Blake, was I had to root for Georgia, and the only reason I was rooting for Georgia is because they're playing Alabama. So there you go.
Exactly.
Real quick, Blake, I want to point out because the chat's going crazy. I want to point out something Vol Don't Lie said about Peyton Lewis giving up that sack. That's 100% correct. Like that sack. I mean, we talked about. I'm talking about Joey's sack avoidance and how good it's been. That one was pretty much dead in the water. I mean, it would have been a miracle if Joey could have avoided that sack because Peyton Lewis got completely blown up on that play. So yeah, it's a great point. I mean, Joey has done an absolute elite job at avoiding sacks this year, man.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And that is absolutely huge because one of our biggest complaints about Nico, excuse me, was him not getting rid of the football. And, a lot of the sacks that he took were a result of the fact that he wasn't making quick decisions and getting rid of the football.
Yep.
Also want to make a special shout out to Wesley Mills Smith in the chat. First time I've seen Wesley Mills Smith in the chat. Wesley says, love you guys from Knox Vegas. First Vol game at the age of 3. Doug Dickey was coach. I'll be 62 this Halloween. He is one of the best. Never been so proud to be a Vol. Wesley, happy very early birthday. Happy birthday month. We are officially in, or no, actually, I'm pumping the brake. I'm in October already. Y'all are almost in October. So happy early birthday, Wesley. Thank you for the love and welcome to the Vol Talk podcast. And then Lamones Jr. agreeing with us that Bama is definitely the top opponent.
No question.
So yeah. But yeah, man, Joey Aguilar, everyone, it's so good. And it's hindsight's always 2020. And now it's easier for us to look back and realize, man, how hamstrung our offense really was from Nico.
So true.
How vastly improved it is from Aguilar. Austin, do you have any other, speaking of offense and some guys who've been absolutely huge this season, do you have any other stats on Joey before we maybe kind of also give some love to the likes of Brazel, the O-line, so on and so forth?
Yeah, we'll get into them next. I don't have any other stats, but I agree with what you said, just how, held back the offense was last year. I'm giving a lot of praise to Joey, but Heupel deserves credit in this, man, because listen, people have been rumbling like, oh, just how many picks at App State were Joey's fault and whatnot, Blake. Well, I can tell you from, again, if you believe in turnover worthy plays like I do, he had a turnover worthy play problem at App State. Like that was a legitimate problem. It wasn't just a bunch of unlucky interceptions. Now, he also had to try to really carry his team because he was, really one of the only good players on that team. But my point being, Blake, is that we have to give Heupel and the offensive staff credit for, once again, coaching turnovers out of a player. And it hasn't come at the detriment of the big plays, Blake. He has helped Joey stop making bad decisions, while also continuing to hit the deep ball, and that has been a massive part of our offense this year. And we'll never forget the one they stole from us last week against Mississippi State. I will bring that up when we're talking about final numbers at the end of the year. We're not just sweeping that one under the rug. Also, shout out to all the people that gave love to that clip. Appreciate you all watching that. But yeah, man, have to shout out Heupel as well and Joey's development, because Joey just became a better football player this year. Like, for the people who are like, oh, I watched App State tape and, I knew he was going to be he was good at App State. He was not this good. Not even close. Now, he had better talent. He has better talent. He has better coaching, and that's part of it. But he also developed and got better, Blake. That's just reality. He's gotten better after one more year in college football. So shout out to Heupel and his development.
That's a fantastic point. I'm glad you brought that up. Just the fact that we now we're seeing how dependent Heupel's offense it really is on a quarterback who can execute it. But we see when we do have a quarterback who is able to make those decisions, go through the progressions, and execute quickly and do well and all this, and a coachable quarterback, that Heupel's offense is spectacular still.
Yep.
And yes, the fact that he has been able to turn Joey Aguilar into this, the coaching staff does get praise in this for sure.
Yes. He also
The
answered the
fact that
Alex
Joey has
Golish.
done so well.
Yeah, he also answered
Yeah.
the Alex Golish question, Blake, because people, rightfully so, were saying the offense hasn't been the same since Alex Golish in 2022. Well, they finally answered that question. Heupel still is a offensive mastermind and has right now the third highest scoring offense in the entire country. All it took, like you said, like you rightfully said, is the quarterback, man. That was the difference maker.
Exactly. Got to have a quarterback who can execute it. And thank God we do have a quarterback who can execute it right now. So good stuff. So Vol Don't Lie, shout out to Vol Don't Lie, said that he has been in Jarrett Garantano's channel talking about Vol Talk. We appreciate that,
Let's
Vol Don't
go.
Lie. Like I said, hey, eventually me and Austin were thinking probably we'll wait until we at least get 1,000 subscribers. And then we'll maybe try to reach out to old Jarrett Garantano, see if he'd be willing to come on an episode and chat with us. That'd be pretty cool. So he's showing that he's a VFL despite the tumultuous kind of seasons he had on Rocky Top. He's still a VFL, so that's pretty awesome. Love all Vols for life for sure. But Austin, let's now kind of talk about maybe we'll shout out some other position groups as well. But obviously Aguilar is the biggest story for the season so far. But I guess just to round out the offense, Chris Brazzell having a spectacular season. The running game looking great in the aggregate at kind of as you talked about in the season preview.
Very true.
O-line much improved. Talk us through just the shout outs for the rest of the offense.
I think we gotta start with Chris Brazzell, man. He helped out our channel with that clip, but dude, he has been. I think this is probably the second biggest story as far as an individual player on this team. He's absolutely broken out. One of the guys that I shouted out earlier, the 4 potential first-round draft picks from this football team at this point. He is second in college football in yards with 531. He is tied for second in college football with 7 receiving touchdowns, or actually I think that's first. Yes, excuse me. He's tied for first with receiving touchdowns, but he's really first. He's really first because we're not
exactly.
We're giving him 8. He's at 8, Blake. That we're keeping the real stats here on this podcast. And with the yardage, he actually I didn't calculate it, but he might be first with the yardage as well. Because the guy in front of him is not too far in front of him. So we're keeping the real stats here on this podcast. One advanced stat I have for Chris Brazzell, I'll shout out here, Blake, is yards per route run. So this isn't just like how many times he's targeted. This is how many times he's on the field and runs a route. Okay, he has 3.52 yards per route run, which is 5th in college football and 2nd in the SEC. Unbelievable season, man. Just breakout out of nowhere. We'll talk about breakout player later. Pretty hard not to be Chris Brazzell at this point in time. He's just been unbelievable. And once again, man, and again, I hate doing this. I've just pushed back a little bit on complaining about award stuff, especially midseason. But it's hard not to do when I'm seeing Blitnikoff list without Chris Brazzell on it. I mean, it's just, that's incorrect. That cannot be true. He's also, I have one other thing. Receiving grade. He's 5th in the college football in receiving grade, Blake. So if he's top 5 in literally every relevant category in the pinnacle of college football in the SEC, he's already played Georgia, which is, one of the best defenses in the country. Mississippi State, very underrated defense. How is he not in the Blitnikoff watch list? That's incorrect. That cannot be right based on literally every metric you can look at, Blake.
Objectively incorrect. There's no other way around it. I mean, let's put it this way. What else are you looking at? I think you said it earlier, like, what are you looking at? So, because if you're looking at the stats, then you've got to be intellectually honest and include him in your list. But if you're not looking at the stats, then what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is you're not looking at anything. You're
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
a fool who, is throwing crap out into the void, and because you've got a platform. Um, Look, Austin and I, we don't really have a platform. We've got a Vol podcast,
Yeah.
but we're talking about the Vols. We're obviously biased against the Vols. That's what kills me, Austin, is that there's allegedly supposed to be unbiased people in the media who are voting on these things, making these lists, all this. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, you're
Yeah.
unbiased, but you have the worst lists of all time.
But
Give
here's
me
the
a
thing.
break.
Here's the thing, Blake, with the unbiased thing. And we are biased to the Vols, okay? We hate Alabama. We hate Watch all the time. We rooted for Nico's downfall. I'm just being honest, okay? I'll be honest with y'all. But that's the thing. That's the key. I will be honest with you guys. And if I didn't think
Exactly.
Chris Brazzell has legitimately been one of the best players in the country and one of the best receivers in the country, I would come out and say that. But at the end of the day, Jeremiah Smith's having a down year. Ryan Williams is having a down year. And at the very least, if you're making a top 5, which most award watch lists are top 5s, Blake, if you're making a top 5 and you don't have Chris Brazzell on it, and I'm talking advanced metrics, actual just classic stats, yards,
Straight up.
touchdowns, he's top 5 in everything. He's on one of the best teams in the country, top 15 team in the country. He plays in the SEC. So what are you looking at? What is the criteria that you've come to? And there's absolutely nothing that I could look at advanced classic stats that says he's not a top 5 receiver in the country. And really, I'm saying top 5 very generously. It's really top 3 at worst receiver in the country right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Definitely need to see more love for Chris Brazzell, because I firmly believe that he is the intangibles as well. The fact that he's been able to bail his quarterback out a couple times, the big time plays that he's made when it matters, on fourth down, things like that, are just absolutely massive. So ridiculous amount of disrespect going to Brazzell, but we know the truth here on the
Yes.
Vol Talk podcast. Austin, what other headlines from the offense before we move to the defense?
Just quick. I made the mistake, right, of in the Mississippi State review, not shouting out Braylon Staley for how he came back and made a massive play in that football game. I was reminded of it on social media, and I have to shout it out because Braylon Staley had the worst first half of his career as a Vol against Mississippi State, but he came back and responded. In that game tying drive, Blake, the 3rd and 6 in the red zone, Braylon Staley catches a screen and drags 2 defenders to get the first down on that 3rd and 6. Absolutely critical play in that game. We had to have it. And Braylon Staley is out there despite all the blunders, right? The muffed punt, the not catching the punt, the dropped pass earlier in the game. But despite all those blunders, made that huge play. That just says a lot about that kid, man. I mean, in a clutch moment of the football game, you could have been down on yourself, but you stayed in the game, you stayed competitive, and it wasn't just like a wide open catch either. I mean, he literally dragged 2 defenders to get this first down. So I had to shout him out. And also Mike Matthews, dude. I think I've been a little too critical of Mike Matthews at points because he has had a drop problem. I will say that. In all fairness, I think he's top 10 in the country in drops, which isn't good. But there's more to playing wide receiver than just catching the ball. And I know that sounds really stupid. People are going to be like, what are you talking about? Catching the ball is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
You are right. However, separation, explosion, size, speed, Mike Matthews has all those things. He's shown those things, Blake. He's had a drop problem, and hopefully that stops. But again, a guy, the first half of Mississippi State, he had that huge drop, which, again, as an Aguilar believer and Heisman stan, I want those stats for Aguilar, and obviously I want the team to win as well. So I was upset with him. But dude, he came back in the second half and again made critical plays, had over 100 receiving yards in the game. I'm a big believer in this receiving core, man. I'm a big believer. The drops are a problem. I already went over that. The drops are a problem. But, dude, I think part of that's bad variance. I think that will go back in our favor because that's the thing. That's an unforced thing, Blake, right? It's the defense isn't doing that to us. It's us doing it to ourselves. And I think it's been so bad that it'll go back down. And I think overall, man, this receiving core has been really good this season.
Typically, the law of averages will eventually come into play, right? And it is unusual for that kind of stuff to happen. So I think you're right. I think a lot of it is variance. Also, not to be remiss if I didn't catch up on chat real quick. We got some good chats coming through. Vol don't lie. Speaking of Braylon Staley, talking about how he hopes Boo Carter will be returning punts and kicks from now on. Shout out to Todd Fox in the chat saying awesome content. Go Big Orange. Thank you, Todd. Really appreciate you. And then let's see here. I also wanted to some folks talking about Jarrett Garantano, how good of a guy he is, and Vol don't lie saying post game show with JG would be fire. I absolutely agree. That would be fire for sure. But I want to bring up Wesley's chat here. Austin. So Wesley is saying, Austin, can you bring us some stats, some Joey Aguilar stats versus how many less quarters played versus other SCQBs? So I don't know if you have that offhand, but that's a great point that Wesley brings up, right? Because Joey hasn't even played in all of our quarters so far this season.
That's true.
He, after the half on what, two or I maybe three, no, Syracuse game he played so at least 2 games, right? So I think there's 2 quarters times 2 games is a full game worth, 4 quarters worth
That's
of
fair.
time that he has not played.
Yeah. And honestly, the only thing I'll bring with that, Blake, is man, no matter how much Vanderbilt is up by, I see Diego Pavia in the game the whole time. I mean, they are padding those stats. A lot of the things, because if you want to go back and listen to some of the Aguilar stats, we went over that earlier in the show. I thought I brought some interesting stats to the table, but a lot of the things that he didn't rank first in the SEC was he was behind Pavia, specifically in passing grade. I will say, look at competition, and kind of to Wesley's point is, dude. Pavia's in the 4th quarter against Georgia State, man. I mean, it's interesting how Vanderbilt's running that program. I'm not even gonna take shots at them. I'm a Vanderbilt fan this weekend. I'm a fanboy of Diego Pavia because I want them to go in Tuscaloosa and win. But Diego. We'll see. We'll see in Neyland, Blake. We'll see. I'm not a Pavia believer. I'll just say that.
We will see for sure. But yeah, great point brought up by Wesley Mills Smith. In terms of per quarter played, Joey's stats, and the fact that, like Austin's talking about right now, quarterbacks like Pavia, who are ahead of him in a couple of those stats. Well, look at that. He's playing in the 4th quarter against Georgia State when Vanderbilt's got a more than comfortable lead. So great point by Wesley there. Don't have the actual stats, like a per quarter stat offhand, but it's a great thing to bring up because it's makes sense. And then Vol don't lie, still talking about let's see here, in terms of the receivers that he agrees that Brazel is top receivers in the country. So Austin, let's maybe talk about is there anything else on offense before we talk about the defense? And then also want to talk about the injuries, right? Because one of the storylines so far this season is the injuries and the fact that we're probably about to get a lot better, folks. Because
the
of
crazy
some
thing.
folks coming back from injury.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons we're so high on this team. I think we can save that to the defensive segment, Blake, because that's mostly where the injuries have been. But one last thing, I have to shout out our O-line. Okay, that's one of the big things this midseason. One of the best pass protecting offensive lines in the country. I'll just throw out this stat real quick. They're second in pass blocking grade as a team from PFF in the SEC. That's really good, especially considering, again, we've already played 2 conference games, Blake. I mean, it's not like we're like Texas and their toughest competition outside Ohio State has been Sam Houston. So, I don't know how they got that scheduling. It's very interesting from the SEC. But anyway, one individual I like to shout out, which, just a spoiler, he might come up in some awards later, Blake. Jesse Perry, fourth in the SEC and PFF pass blocking grade. He has been one of the, in my opinion, what I've been trying to push to people this season. A guy I've been trying to push. One of the stories of the season, man. He again go back for those who don't know. I'm sure most of y'all do. David Sanders. Basically, right before the season, dude was announced to have an injury. It was kind of vague. It really didn't make a lot of sense. Well, he sat out for the first 4 games and then ended up playing a little bit in the Mississippi State game. Point being is Jesse Perry was just kind of thrown into the tackle, Blake. I think he was expected to play guard to start this season and to start at guard, but he had to play right tackle, and he has done such a phenomenal job at filling in at right tackle, man. Also, just quickly shout out Lance Hurd. He's gotten a lot better, man. He's gotten a lot better. He's become one of the better pass protecting
Love to see
offensive tackles in the SEC, and I love to see it too, man, because he always had the potential. Obviously, he was kind of the butt of a lot of our jokes last year, but
it.
because he wasn't that good. But this year he's been a lot better, man. He's been a lot better. So that's part of the offensive success, dude, is the clean pockets that Aguilar has had this year.
Yeah. Glad that you're shouting at the offensive line. Huge play from them so far. And yeah, definitely the improvement of Lance Hurd, and then of course Jason Perry. Absolutely awesome play so far. And of course David Sanders Jr. Did finally get some playing time. We're going to talk about that, or I'm sure we'll talk about that as the season goes with David Sanders Jr. But I think you've hit the nail on the head when it comes to that situation with, Jason Perry is like, man, there's no reason to replace Jason Perry right now.
Jesse Perry,
so
but yes,
huge
Jesse
stuff
Perry.
from them. Huh?
Jesse Perry, not Jason Perry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Jace in our chat.
Yeah,
his name is Jason Horner. My bad. So, folks, we are going to move to, we'll kind of talk about the defense a little bit, and then the injuries, and then we are still going to get to a quick update on our Vol Talk Awards and the watch list for the Vol Talk Awards, and, kind of where those are sitting right now. Speaking of Perry and the fact that he might be on some of those right now, probably surprisingly, pleasantly surprised with his performance and some others. And then we're going to talk about the roadmap to the playoffs, right? How do we get to the playoffs? We're going to talk about kind of projection for the rest of the season. So, Austin, let's kind of talk about what do you got for defense and then those injuries.
So the defense, it's been kind of a point of contention this year. Like if you just look at the scoring numbers, it's not been the best. But dude, I like I told you after the Mississippi State game, man, I think I am optimistic about this defense going forward. I really am. Some of the numbers that they lead in and whatnot are really, really good. I guess I can start with some team stats, and I'll get into some individual stats, Blake. Some individual guys I'll shout out, but team-wise, I saw somebody in the chat earlier talking about sacks. We lead the nation in sacks through 5 weeks, Blake. We have 20 sacks through 5 games. Last year, we only had 29 through 13 games. So really good in sack numbers so far. First in forced fumbles, 5th in tackles for loss on defense. All really good stats. From a PFF perspective, Blake, we have the 2nd highest SEC pass rush grade as a team. Listen, I'm very high on our pass rushers. Speaking of pass rushers from an individual perspective, dude, Joshua Josephs, again, another story of the season, in my opinion. He has taken a huge leap forward as a pass rusher. He leads the SEC in pass rush grade, Blake. Huge, man. He has been a massive part of our success. And then the rotational guys like Tyree West, he's been a big part of it as well. He was out for a game. Obviously made a huge impact in the Mississippi State game. Y'all know he forced a fumble that led to the Joseph's touchdown. Huge, man. I have to shout out our linebacker. You love linebacker play, Blake. Arian Carter. Leads the SEC in tackles. A lot of people have been hyping him up this week. I think he's been good. I don't think he's been the best player in our defense, like some people are talking. Because tackle statistics, I'll say I don't think it's the best indicator of performance, but he's still been good. He has been solid in coverage. He's been solid in run defense. Right. I think it's been some of the other linebackers have been lacking this season as far as run defense is concerned. And then, dude, a guy who we talked about a lot in the preseason, a transfer, Colton Hood. Okay, we kind of started to hear rumblings in camp, Blake, like, oh man, this guy's looking good. We bought into
That's
it.
good.
We totally bought into it. We saw
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, dude, the play they posted on social media where they blurred out the quarterback. Well, Colton
Blurred the
Hood, like,
QB.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And that caused a huge controversy. Like, who was the quarterback on this play? Colton Hood was the
The real
quarterback.
story was
Yeah,
Colton Hood.
exactly.
Yeah.
Colton Hood. And dude, that play, the one thing I brought analysis wise after that play, Blake, was the great ball skills that Colton Hood has while the ball's in the air. That's unusual for cornerbacks. Like that's a thing you say about a lot of receivers, but as a cornerback, like cornerbacks are known for bad hands or whatever, and they can't go up and find the ball. Colton Hood showed that in that one play, and I was like, man, that's interesting. Are we going to see that in the season? Yes, we've absolutely seen that in the season several times from Colton Hood. He has 2 defensive touchdowns on the season. A couple of his stats, Blake, insane stats. Receptions allowed. He's only allowed 7 receptions on the year for 56 yards. He has 5 forced incompletions. He has a passer rating when targeted. So when quarterbacks throw his direction, Blake, he only gives up a 40.9 passer rating. That's barely above just
Wow.
throwing it in the dirt, by the way. That's barely above that number. So you might as well just throw it away rather than throw it towards Colton Hood's direction. That's how good he's been. Dude, also, I know he has some missed tackles, okay? But I will say, from the cornerback position, Blake, okay, PFF has a defensive stop statistic, which basically is tackles that constitute a failure for the offense. Colton Hood is 11th in the country among cornerbacks with 6 defensive stops. He's actually been really good at times at making plays in the screen game and whatnot to cause TFLs. So yeah, dude, it's been interesting, dude. It's 2 years in a row now where we've hit on these crazy transfer corners, which, by the way, the other crazy transfer corner from last year may be coming back to literally become the best cornerback duo in the entire country, in my opinion.
I can't wait. And
Dude,
yes, we're about to talk about injuries, and Jermon McCoy is hopefully slated to come back against Arkansas when Arkansas visits Neyland here in a couple weeks. So we're gonna get into that. Quick check in on the chat. Vols don't lie. Speaking of, we're talking about drops earlier, talking about Miles Kitselman. Yeah, Miles Kitselman unfortunately had a few drops. Vols don't lie,
he did.
but he's still an awesome player. Lynn, shout out to Lynn, saying everyone hit the like button. And Lynn said, hey, look, Austin, Lynn's speaking facts. He says, why stick around and watch and not hit the like button? This is the best show on Vols on YouTube. Lynn, that's high praise,
It
brother.
is. Thank
I
you
don't
so
know if
much, Lynn.
I don't know. I don't know if we've earned it yet, but man, we appreciate you. Lynn is one of our day one supporters. And then Wesley agreeing with no clickbait headers. We appreciate that as well, Wesley, because we try to walk that line, right? You got to get something that interests people, kind of draws their attention. But Austin and I have, we've talked about that. We don't ever want to do clickbait and kind of trick people or anything like that. So we definitely appreciate you guys' support. It's really awesome. But yeah, Austin, I want to quickly shout out before we, go into any other points on the defense and the injuries. I want to shout out Tyree West in particular, something that I really love to see from him, which was, Austin, I've talked a lot on this podcast about how, what is a team's response to adversity? How do they get better over the season? What is the response to certain situations, right? And we want people who want to give their all for Tennessee. We want players who love to win. That's what they want to do. I love money too. It's cool. It's awesome to have money, right? It's nice to not have to worry about money. Okay, you got your NIL, you got all this. But at the end of the day, where are those competitors like Al Wilson, speaking of linebackers, that just go out there and want to win football games? And so you want people who love to win, but you also want people who hate to lose. You don't want to feel that feeling of losing.
No.
And Tyree West, Austin, after the Georgia game, he was ticked off, brother.
You think he took a moral
Was
victory, Blake?
he sure didn't. He
Dude,
was pissed.
I
And
loved
then
it.
he came and and pancaked the
Yes.
Mississippi State quarterback. He played a great game in response to the fact that, hey, I don't want to lose another freaking game. And so you want to see that, especially on defense. You want to see that kind of
Yeah.
fire. I love to see that from him, man.
That's a great point. That's a great point because, like as fans, we're talking ahead, right? We're like, oh, are we going to make the playoffs? Like, oh, we looked really good against Georgia. He just wanted to win the game. That just speaks to his competitiveness. And as a whole, he's a really good situational pass rusher, dude. Like, I will say this team, one of the questions I had coming into the year, Blake, was the depth of the defensive line. Will it be able to hold up to last year? Now, in on the interior, especially with the injuries, Devin Hobbs or David Hobbs has been out. That's been a big problem. But on the interior, I don't think it has held up. However, on the edge, dude, this is one of the deepest edge groups that I think we've had in a while. I mean, it's a lot of these guys were on last year's team, but a lot of these guys got better from last year's team and developed. It's a very deep edge group. Caleb Herring had 2 sacks against Mississippi State. He looked really good. Jordan Ross has been making plays in his limited opportunities. I would love for him to get more opportunities because I think he's really good in the run game and could really help seal the edge, which has been kind of an issue for us in the run game. But man, overall, I am very excited, especially when Hobbs comes back. The potential of this defensive line and the depth, man. Like, we're leading the nation in sacks, Blake. From a pass rushing perspective, we've been the best team in the country.
Awesome.
And it's like we just have to figure out this run defense. I think, especially, and again, I'm itching to talk about these guys coming back because I think we could have the best secondary in the country, specifically corners. I mean, our safeties are solid, but from a cornerback perspective, dude, the talent is unbelievable. And then you have the pass rushers. I don't know, man. It's like, I get it. The defense hasn't looked best at times, specifically run defense wise, but I think its potential this season is still extremely high.
Absolutely. But Austin, let's talk about it. Let's kind of segue into how the team is potentially going to get better with these guys returning from injury, and then we'll head into our quick update on the Vol Talk Award Watch, and then of course talk about the playoff roadmap. So you've got Jermon McCoy, you've got David Hobbs, you got all these Moy. You've got all kinds of players potentially coming back from
Well,
injury
Moy
soon.
came back against Mississippi State.
That's right. Moy just came back. So we're just now starting to see, what Moy can do.
Yep.
And you've got some other players coming back from injury. Of course, we have lost players like Ricky Gibson Jr. Ricky Gibson. Dude, imagine Ricky Gibson
Oh, I know.
if he hadn't been injured, and then we got McCoy back, and we've got Colton Hood. Man, okay. I don't even want to. I don't even want to upset myself thinking about what could be. But talk us through the injuries that we've had and the folks that are coming back.
Yeah, I mean, we've already touched on a little bit, but like you said, I mean, and I don't know, I've seen mixed things on Gibson. It's going to be an extended period. He's not going to come back after the bye week, and McCoy is still a question mark whether he will. But to your point, dude, if Ricky Gibson were healthy, him being the third corner on this team and with Ty Redmond as the fourth corner, like, I mean, it becomes the best cornerback room and the deepest as well. It's just, and who knows, we might see that later in the year if Gibson comes back real late in the year, who knows? But I mean, I think the biggest question mark is Jermon McCoy, because I know fans remember him from last year. They remember the Alabama catch and him bullying Ryan Williams after Ryan Williams got all the media hype. But it wasn't just that game. It was not a one game wonder. I shouted out this guy before, but CBS Sports Mike Renner has Jermon McCoy as the 6th highest rated NFL draft prospect right now, dude. And he hasn't played a snap this season. So, like, I mean, it wasn't just the Alabama game. Jermon McCoy was locked down all last season, dude. He was absolutely phenomenal. And dude, we didn't know he would have the potential duo of Colton Hood on the other side. It's going to be intriguing. And again, it's not a guarantee that McCoy's back yet. Hobbs, the defensive tackle, Blake, for sure back. He's already announced on social media he will be back for the Arkansas game. But if Jermon McCoy comes back, man, It's gonna be fascinating. I'm not gonna make statements right now because I don't know if he's even gonna be back yet or not. But dude,
Right.
this defense could become one of the best in the SEC. I'm just gonna say it, man, because I can't say enough how important corner is and how good we will be. We're talking about two potential first round players at corner, and Joshua Josephs right now is a potential first round player off the edge. And I just talked about all that depth. It's like, man, if we can figure out how to stop the run, dude, it's like, dang, like it looks like a really, really good group. There's about 3 players potentially in the first round, Blake. I cannot overstate how important that is.
That's
NFL
insane.
talent means so much. 3 potential first rounders on this defense, and that doesn't even include Chris Brazel on the offense.
And that's more first rounders projected than a couple red teams, Austin, if I might point out. So at least right now.
Combined right now, by the way.
So
It's about Georgia and Alabama. We
combined.
have more
Yeah.
potential projected first round picks right now than Georgia and Alabama combined. When's the last time that happened, people? Tell me. It's been I can't tell you how long it's
Probably.
been 25
Yeah.
years maybe. I mean, it's definitely since the Philip Fulmer era. It's not even a question. I mean, I can't even name the last time we've had multiple first round picks, Blake. It was the Philip Fulmer era, man. It's just I cannot tell you how much that means, dude, and what it speaks to the development of these guys. I mean, these guys were not 5-star prospects. None of them were. 2 of them were
Yep.
transfer cornerbacks that were really not high up transfer boards, dude. They just weren't. Like I just it excites me about the coaching staff because it's you give the players credit for what they've done, but you have to give the coaches credit because Colton Hood was at Colorado last year and he was on no one's radar with Deion Sanders at coach, who's one of the greatest cornerbacks ever.
Deion Sanders, the famous cornerback.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I don't know, man. It says a lot about coaching.
Yeah, it does. And now speaking of the run defense, the coaches are going to have to help figure out the run defense for sure as well. But yeah, man, the development has been absolutely incredible. So folks, we don't want to get too hyped, but after all, this is a Vol channel and we are hyped about the Vols. And we think that there is great potential for this team to get even better, particularly on defense. So we are super optimistic, especially about making the playoffs, Austin. Just a little teaser. We're going to be talking about that soon. We've been going for over an hour already.
We've been talking
Austin.
a lot. I've been
that's
yapping.
Surprising. We've been yapping, man. We've been yapping. We had a lot to yap about Joey Aguilar. Not enough praise for him. Quick check in on the chat, and then Austin, if you don't have anything else, we'll run into the Vol Talk Awards.
Yes. Lynn's got an interesting chat.
So, but. I'm seeing that, but I just want to shout out real quick. Rhonda, thank you so much, Rhonda, for the love. She says I like it because you guys are yourselves. We really appreciate that, Rhonda. Austin and I, just some quick Vol Talk lore. The reason that shout out to my brother Austin. He really wanted to do this podcast, and part of it was because we talked about Vol football anyway, and we had good conversations because we're brothers, we're really close, and our yapping, we're like, hey, throw it on the internet. So we do like to be ourselves, Rhonda. We thank you for that. Lynn as well in there. Thank you for the love, Lynn. And Lynn saying, is Colton Hood the guy they said looked like a Greek god? I got bad news for him. In my 20s and 30s, I look like a Greek god. Now I look more like the guy on Little Caesars pizza box.
I like it, Lynn.
Hey, Lynn, I tell you what, I'm already, I'm not in my 30s, and I'm already starting to look like Little Caesars pizza box guy. So I relate to that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Lynn. And then Wesley, actually, great point from Wesley, Austin. Nobody's talking about Boo and his hit against Mississippi State. I have a copy of Sports Illustrated that Tennessee was wide receiver U. Hey, Lynn or Wesley, we've got an old episode on wide receiver.
Don't get Blake started, Wesley.
And Austin, brother, I'm telling you, if we get another Blitnikoff winner,
and
watch out, we're starting to get back. People think it's a wide chasm that has opened up between us and LSU and us and Ohio State. Not so fast, my friend, in the words of the great Lee Corso. I gotta touch.
I gotta touch on Wesley's comment because I'm actually glad you reminded me about Boo Carter because Another thing, our Mississippi State review was long. Okay, there's a lot to talk about in a football game, but I'm upset at myself for forgetting to talk about the obvious forced fumble that he had. They didn't even
Yeah.
review it again. Something that's going untalked about with the officials. It was an absolutely terrible to not review that call. It for sure was a fumble. And unfortunately, since they blew the whistle, all of our guys stopped going for the ball. We could have recovered it. Like, this is deep in the Mississippi State territory. Like, had we recovered this, we would have scored a touchdown. We could have
Yep.
recovered it in the end zone. But even if Mississippi State recovered it, the spot where the guy recovered it at was within the like 3 yard line. So it was a huge missed call. It was a catch and it was a fumble. One of the biggest mistakes they make on the broadcast, Blake, is showing these plays in slow mo, and it looks like oh man, he or actually the slow mo helped us in this case. But either way, it's like, it was clearly on the review. It seemed like a fumble, and it probably should have been a fumble. Um, also wanted to shout out how Boo played in that game. He had like the highest coverage grade from PFF in that week against Mississippi State. He had a 90 plus PFF coverage grade. He played really good, man. He played really good. All I ask about Boo is well, I ask two things. One, he needs to be the full-time punt returner, please. Okay.
Yep.
I love Staley, and I gave him praise earlier, but Boo needs to return punts. And for two, I hope somebody gets Boo's mom Colorado tape this year, Blake. They are currently 2-3 and on a downward spiral. That's all I'm going to ask. Okay. Just watch some Colorado tape this year. It's not going so well for old Dion.
Have a little bit of common sense, Mama Boo.
Yes.
And realize that you're in a better situation here at Tennessee.
And use Colton Hood as an example. Okay. Colton Hood
exactly.
would have been a undrafted free agent with Dion in Colorado. Now he will be a first-round draft pick or a second-round draft pick. You keep those kind of things in mind. Those things are important. And he'll probably be playing in the postseason, Blake.
Indeed. So think about it, Mama Boo. It's the proof's in the pudding, Austin.
Correct.
The proof is in the pudding. Austin, without further ado, let's get a quick chat. We have got a lot to say, and we got even more to say about the playoff roadmap, because that's what I want to get to. I want to get to how do we make the playoffs, brother? We made the playoffs last year. I want to make the playoffs again this year. I think we've got a great team this year. We've got a much better quarterback. But let's get a quick check-in on the Vol Talk Awards.
Mm-hmm.
We will be remiss if we don't talk about these real quick. We talked in our season preview. If you haven't seen that, folks, you can go find that. That is one maybe worth rewatching or going back to watch.
A lot of solid predictions in that thing, Blake, I'll say. Not to pat our own backs, but there's a lot of solid predictions in that whole thing. But your boy might have called a year two Chris Brazzell breakout. It's whatever. It's fine.
Exactly. So there's a lot of good predictions, but we talked about the Vol Talk Award watch list. So real quick, folks, just to give you a rundown on the Vol Talk Awards, very prestigious. They're some of the most prestigious awards in sports, really. Now there's only known to about 100 people of our regular watchers, but they're very prestigious. So right now we're gonna go over just real quick, kind of our front runners for Peyton Manning Award. That one might be kind of obvious, Austin. That's the best offensive player. And then we got the Reggie White Award, best defensive player. Eric Berry Award, the best freshman. Casey Clausen, my personal favorite, the most underappreciated player. The Juwan Jennings Dog Award. And then breakout players on offense and defense. Again, that might be somewhat obvious. So Austin, hit us with your list, man. Peyton Manning Award. Who you got?
It's really between two guys, right? Like, it can only be between two guys. If the season ended today, I would give it to Aguilar. I think it's just the way he's elevated the squad, because Chris Brazzell has gotten better. There's no question about it. But I mean, I think we can all agree Chris Brazel probably would have played a little better last year if he had Joey Aguilar under center. So like the quarterback has just elevated the team, but it is between Brazel and Aguilar. We'll see, how the rest of the season plays out, but it's their award to lose, Blake.
That's right. That's right. And Aguilar has elevated this offense in general. And so, yeah, I think he would be my front runner for Peyton Manning. Reggie White, Austin. This one's interesting. Best defensive player. I mean, few guys stand out. Colton Hood, Joshua Josephs. Who you got right now for Reggie White?
Yeah, you just named the two guys, man. I think it has to be between Josephs and Colton Hood so far. Um, I will lean Colton Hood just because he's had two massive defensive touchdowns, although Josephs also has a defensive touchdown. So it's like we're splitting hairs here. That one's going to be tough. I think we have to see the rest of the season play out before we give that one away. Because, I mean, if Jermon McCoy's going to be back for 7+ games, I mean, he's all of a sudden going to throw his
Hey,
hat into the ring, brother. So, like,
yes,
I mean, he was
that's
last
right.
year's winner. So, I mean, come on now.
We, the returning Reggie White Award winner, we can't count him out quite yet. Austin, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Eric Berry Award, freshman. Who you got here?
Oh man, freshman's tough. Like there's a lot of guy. I think I have to give it to a redshirt freshman, because there's not been a true freshman to completely stand out. One guy we shut out before the season was David Sanders. He hasn't really played. Um, I'll shout out Jesse Perry, man. He's a guy, redshirt freshman, who has come in and played a really tough position and has looked really good doing so. I would have thrown Staley on the list. Staley had a rough outing, but I think Staley's still in the running for that potentially. So yeah, that's just a couple of guys. And man, I don't know if I'm forgetting one. If I'm forgetting an obvious freshman, let me know, y'all. But I don't think I am. But those are the two guys right now that I would shout out that are kind of front runners.
I like the Jesse Perry shot. I mean, it's hard, even though he's a redshirt freshman. It's hard not to shout him out for sure. But Austin, honestly, Perry could also potentially qualify for this next award as well. Casey Clausen, underappreciated player.
Yes. He is the front runner for the Casey Clausen underappreciated player. Jesse Perry's running away with it, brother. Jesse Perry is for sure. I mean, I would be shocked if someone takes this award from him at the end of the year, dude. I think right now I've been pounding the table for this guy. Okay, I've been pounding the table for Jesse Perry and how well he's played. And yeah, he fits the bill, man. Underappreciated Jesse Perry, and offensive linemen are always typically underappreciated. So.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then the Juwan Jennings Dog Award. Honestly, Austin, if Brazel's not winning, obviously we're about to talk about breakout player on offense. It's gonna be spoiler. It's gonna be hard to say no to Brazel on offense. Obviously, Brazel's up there for the Peyton Manning Award, but man, Brazel's kind of been a dog,
He has.
in my eyes. But there's a lot of other dogs on this team. I mean,
True.
Arian Carter comes to mind. He's been a dog. What do you think about the Juwan Jennings Dog Award?
This one's up in the air still, and I think it's not for the lack of guys. I think there's just a lot of guys. That's the thing. That's a good thing. We want multiple dogs on the team. I think I'll shout out
Yep.
multiple. I think all three running backs are in the potential
Yes,
dog
that's a
award,
good
man.
point.
Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, and Peyton Lewis. I think they've all shown that dog at some point. I mean, let's not forget, Blake. I know it's 4 weeks ago. That was such a long time ago. But Peyton Lewis ran over that Syracuse linebacker in the A gap week 1. I know that got you fired up. I think that might have been our thumbnail for that game. So
Yep.
or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But either way, Peyton Lewis is in that running, Deshaun Bishop. And then, like you said, you have Brazel, of course, is in the running for that. Defensively, I mean, I'll shout out the guy that you shouted out earlier, Blake. How about Tyree West? I mean, Tyree West has been a dog.
Yes. Yep.
Joseph's has been a dog. I mean, so I think there's a lot of guys that are in the running for that award, which, dude, I think out of all the awards, right, pretty prestigious award to be called the guy. I mean, the dog is the guy that gives the most effort. That's why it is named after the Juwan Jennings Award, by the way. Just quick pro update on Juwan Jennings, Blake. This past weekend, he had a 2-point conversion where he got absolutely nailed in the ribs and the kidney, okay, and held on to the ball, continuing to be a dog at the next level. That's why Juwan Jennings will always hold the name of this award.
He is the epitome of a dog, and he is from Tennessee, our very own. And then finally, Austin, before I catch up on the chat here, got a couple interesting chats, so I want to catch up on that. But before we do that, let's talk about the breakout players on offense and defense. Offense kind of seems a little obvious, right?
Yeah, breakout offensive player has to go to Chris Brazzell. You could even make an argument for an Aguilar because, Aguilar was good at App State, but he wasn't top 5 quarterback in the country at App State, which he is now. But Chris Brazzell is the answer, dude. He had 300 yards last year. I will never forget his catch in the Alabama game. However, I was there at that game. That catch was phenomenal. Was the game-winning touchdown catch. So we'll never forget that one from last year. But he's completely broken out, man. No one had him on their draft radar this past season, but he is now. I mean, he's on everyone's radars, dude. In first round conversations, we went over his stats earlier. He's been phenomenal. So yeah, so far he's been the offensive breakout player. Although another guy I'll throw out too is again Jesse Perry, another breakout. We've had quite a few breakouts on offense this year.
Absolutely. But then what about defense, Austin? I mean, there's an argument to be made for Colton Hood.
There is,
of course, I mean, he's a transfer, and you talked about his stint at Colorado and how he's broken out. But who else? I mean, what do you got at breakout for defense?
Yeah, and it's also I just realized I forgot for freshmen I have to shout Ty Redmond. Ty Redmond has been really good as a freshman as well.
That's right.
So
Yes, Ty Redmond has been fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't been as good as Colton Hood, but he's had his great moments. For breakout player, it's hard to name a freshman for breakout player, so I won't go Redmond. It's kind of hard not to go Hood, man. I mean, Hood was again not a guy on people's radars in the transfer portal, but now is talked about like one of the top corners in the country, which he has been. So yeah, I'll go Colton Hood so far for breakout.
Good stuff, folks. That is our update on the watch for the Vol Talk Awards. So there you have it. Your update on the Vol Talk Awards. Also want to catch up on chat real quick. Shout out to Rhonda. Rhonda says that her birthday this year is on the third Saturday in October.
Love it.
Rhonda, happy early birthday.
A Vols win would be a fantastic birthday present.
Oh, man. I hope you get the best birthday present ever. So shout out to Rhonda. Happy early birthday to her. And then Wesley Austin coming with the great ideas, the great chats. Wesley saying, hey guys, we should have an folks tailgate and have Blake and Austin have a live Vol Talk. Austin, I've thought about that. Maybe one day we'll be doing some live Vol Talks on site at the mecca of college football outside Neyland Stadium.
That would be awesome, dude. That would be awesome.
It would be fun stuff. Love the suggestion, Wesley. And then also want a special shout out to Tennis Girl. I have a feeling that this is probably a burner account from
looks like a Bama fan,
but potentially a Bama fan. Shouting out Ryan Williams. Obviously it's trolling because obviously Ryan Williams is nowhere near Brazzell's level this year.
It's also ironic that Ryan Williams' father is Jermon McCoy, Tennessee Volunteer, who might be back for that game, by the way. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'd love to see Ryan Williams get shut down once again like he did last year. Tennis Girl, if that is your real name, thank you for the engagement. Welcome to the Vol Talk Podcast. Okay, Austin, finally, let's talk about the roadmap to the playoffs. So we had some chats earlier about folks, and what their thoughts are on the rest of the season, coming in or through the season preview, you predicted 10-2. I got fired up and said 11-1. All I'm saying is 11-1
It's
still
on
on
the
the
table.
table. It's on the table.
I mean,
But
imagine if we
let's
beat
talk
Georgia,
Austin
your
specific.
prediction would be looking phenomenal.
Oh, oh, it'd be squarely on track, for
Yes.
sure. But unfortunately, missed field goal. Not gonna dwell on that. Even though,
It's
I'm gonna
hard
be
not
honest,
to.
folks, it's hard not to. But
Excuse me.
Austin, let's talk about what is the roadmap. Looking at the rest of the season to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think at minimum you have to finish 10-2. I think that's the minimum. And even I will say, when the 12 team playoff was first announced, Blake, I kind of assumed a 10-2 SEC team would be a lock. I'm not sure if that's the case. It's not the case always. I believe Missouri may have went 10-2 last year, but their schedule was so easy that they weren't even close in the conversation. So that's an example of it already happening. But also, just looking at the landscape this year, it's kind of log jammed at the top, man. There's a lot of potential playoff teams this year, a lot of good teams in college
Yeah.
football. So I'm not sure if 10-2 is a guaranteed for sure lock into the playoff or not. I will say it should be. It should be in the SEC, especially with our schedule. It definitely should be. But I think to guarantee it, you probably have to win the third Saturday in October. That's one that would probably guarantee it as far as you if you take care of business everywhere else. And then the only other game where listen, I in the SEC, dude, you can lose any of these games, especially on the road. Luckily, we get
Yeah.
Kentucky on the road, which come on. I mean, we're going to be Kentucky on the road, and then of course, we have the Alabama game. But then the game, well, the one game in Neyland has been that Oklahoma game. We've been talking about that game. Now, John
Yep.
Mateer, their quarterback, is hurt at the moment. He had to get surgery. Now, listen, as a Vols fans, Blake, as Vols fans, we know the first week he will be back will be us.
Will be
Like
ours. And he'll have a
he
new
will
bionic arm, and it'll
exactly
be a freaking
exactly.
rocket
It,
arm.
it
And
won't impact him whatsoever. Okay, it won't impact him at all. And he will have likely a career day. So I'm not gonna
yeah,
say that's like oh man, their quarterback's out, so that's a win. We know that's not. We're not buying that
yeah,
fool's gold. We not. And by the way, he's been really good. So that game, that's
yes,
part of the reason why it's already kind of been a game we're circling. But I think you have to take care of that game as well. And then the last game I'll shout out, Blake, is at Florida. As we know, that's been a nightmare game for us for 20 years. An absolute nightmare to go down to the swamp. We've had several occasions within the last 20 years where Tennessee, on paper, was the better football team and didn't win the game. I'll say under Heupel, I think the only year you can make that argument was 2023, and it was closer than we thought. That 2023 team, Blake, wasn't. It just wasn't what we expected it to be, right? That was probably outside of Heupel's first year, probably the least talented Tennessee team that he's had here. So
right.
with that being said, man, like Florida on paper and what it means for the season, how late it is, it's a must win, and I cannot
Yeah,
understate that enough.
yes,
Like, it's a must win. You have a coach that's hanging on by a thread. You have a quarterback that throws it to the other team more than his team. It's a recipe to win the game. We are the better team, people. It's not even close. I mean, we're comparing our draft prospects to Alabama's and Georgia's, and we're saying how, listen, we have more draft prospects in the first round than they do. Florida is a complete ghost town on those lists. Like, Florida has nobody that we should be worried about. Absolutely no one. So like that game, man, that game is going to be so crucial late in the season. Even if you beat Alabama, even if you have one loss in that Florida game, you really can't lose to that team because they might have 3 wins
yeah,
at that point or less. Like, that's how bad this Florida team is. So you cannot drop that game, whether it's in the swamp or whatever.
yeah. Because honestly, I think you make a great point. Given their resume, if we do drop that game that late, that could give the playoff committee a reason to drop us out of contention.
Exactly. That's
So
exactly right.
it's a must win for sure. Got to beat Florida in the Swamp. Got to get that monkey off our back for sure. But yeah, Austin, I'm kind of with you. It's right now at least it's up in the air that a 10-2 team can, especially in our case. Depending on who we lose to. If you beat Georgia, then boom, you've got another loss at least on the schedule that you can afford. But we've got to pad our resume with another good win as well. So I
Exactly.
think you got to look at Alabama on the road or obviously Oklahoma, how good they've been. You've got to beat Oklahoma or Alabama, one of those two, if not both, in order to get into the playoffs. From what I'm looking at.
I agree with you. And the issue is, even though we have a tough schedule, and I don't know what Vanderbilt's going to be ranked at the end of the year, if they will be ranked. It's so hard to know. I cannot say enough how easy their schedule has been. It's been an absolute cakewalk. But that could be a potential marquee win, Vanderbilt. I'm not moved by
Yeah,
that.
true.
But the problem is, Blake, outside of that, if you don't beat Bama on the road, where's the marquee win coming from? Like, it's not an easy.
Right.
Well, Oklahoma. I'd say Oklahoma, but again, I'm worried about Oklahoma because even if their quarterback's back by the time they play us, which he will be, I don't know what their record's going to look like. They're a good football team, but
Right.
can they get through the time where he's hurt and stay alive as far as one of the top contenders in college football? That's why it's so hard. The roadmap to the playoffs is so difficult because you don't know what other teams are going to do. You don't know what their resumes are going to look like. Point being is we need a marquee win, and the most obvious marquee win would be against Alabama on the road, which, like we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a tough one, obviously. It's in Tuscaloosa. But, I think there's definitely there's a shot. There's a shot at that game, no question about it. We'll see.
Even though it's in Bryant Denny, we've got a good team, and Alabama ain't what they cracked up to be this season, despite the fact that everyone's memory has vanished of them getting walloped by Florida State, a Florida State team who just lost to Virginia, by the way, Austin.
Yeah.
Yes, Virginia does play football in addition to basketball. Shocker, I know. But anyway, people seem to have forgotten that, but we definitely have the talent, the ability, and the just the offensive power in particular, and with people returning on defense to go into Bryant Denny, go into Tuscaloosa, get a win, and we're going to need it. You're absolutely right. I think that, to me, obviously, like you said, we've got to win the games that you have to win, right? So obviously your Florida game, your speaking of Arkansas, your Arkansas game coming up. Obviously, all these games that we're supposed to win, should win, got to win those, including Vandy, got to win those, and then you need a marquee win, especially if you're going to drop another game. If we're going to go 11-1, I think
Oh, it's a
obviously
lock.
we're in.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
lock.
lock. But if you're going to be 10-2, you got to have a marquee win of some sort.
I
And I think
agree.
obviously Alabama is the easiest marquee win, easiest to identify right now. I
Exactly.
think was
Easiest to identify is a good way to put it. It's also probably the last game on the schedule where we'll be the underdog. The Oklahoma game is a maybe, but the thing is with that game, again, it depends on the record at the time, and it's in Neyland, which is obviously such a huge factor. Because outside of Georgia, we've been pretty much unbeatable in Neyland. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And yeah, so the games we're favored in, if we take care of all those games, and the question will be is that enough? Is that enough? Even if you drop the Alabama game, is that enough at 10-2? Again, it's so tough. One thing we'll do this year, we'll just go ahead and tease this. As the playoffs and rankings start, which I think is around week 8, I think we'll fire back up what we did last year, Blake, for any of the OG listeners, which really that was the first point in our channel where we started to get some actual traction, was during the playoffs last year and our live shows reacting to the playoff rankings. So that should be fun. We'll get to talk through way more scenarios. We'll probably have Dakota on for some of those shows. Don't know when we'll do it. It might have to be an additional episode. We might start doing 3 episodes a week, Blake, if we can make that happen. It might just be me and Dakota, who knows? But those are fun shows, right? We get to talk about scenarios and look at what the other teams are doing. And at that point, we'll just know more, right? We'll just know more at that point. But as far as what I think, right? Like I guess we're gonna get into some midseason predictions, Blake. I think it'll
Sure.
happen, man. I think it'll happen, and the reason is we just laid out the talent, right? We talked a lot about the talent and the depth on this team between all the position groups. But at the end of the day, at the most simple analysis, I believe in this quarterback, dude. I believe in this quarterback in the
Yeah.
biggest moments, no matter where he goes, whether it's on the road, whether it's at home, no matter who he's facing. I believe in Joey Aguilar. He has shown me absolutely no reasons. I mean, I can't even think of a bad moment he's had this year, Blake. A bad moment through 5 games, and that includes Georgia on the schedule. I mean, look at the numbers the offensive is putting up. It's just he's been phenomenal. He's completely changed this offense this season. And we just got done talking about how I think we believe in the defense's potential as well. So I just believe in him, man. Like I believe in him to go down to Alabama and get a win. I believe in him to go down to the swamp and get a win. Which really, like, what's the last quarterback we've said that to go down in the swamp? Like, you could say Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker only got one chance down in the swamp, Blake, in
Right.
2021, which when this roster was completely depleted. I
Not.
mean, it
Yeah.
it
Not
wasn't
good.
competitive at that point. It was not a competitive team at that point. And we still hung in there with a solid Florida team at the time. So it's like this is the first guy that I feel like maybe like Casey Clausen, Blake, that's like I think he can do it, man. And how legendary would it be if
Oh,
Aguilar becomes the
legendary.
first quarterback since the great Casey Clausen in 2003 to win at Florida and at Alabama?
And at Alabama.
Would be an unbelievable season for Joey Aguilar.
Absolutely incredible. That would be fantastic, dude. That I would love that that headline, dude, for Joey Aguilar to be the first Tennessee quarterback since Casey Clausen to go down there to Bryant Denny and to the swamp and get a W in both those places. Absolutely fantastic. But you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it comes down to, does this team have the competitive nature? And it starts with the quarterback. And you know what? I think we've got the competitive nature. I think this team is responding well to the Georgia loss. And I think Aguilar, you're absolutely right, is a good enough leader. He's got that ice in the veins. Despite being a fireman, man, he's got those icy veins that just don't melt in the biggest moments. So I love our chances indeed. Austin, I want to shout out Rhonda. Speaking of Florida, she was asking, what do you think about Billy Napier? Stay or gone? Austin, man, I hope he's around
I know.
by the time we
Exactly.
come down to Gainesville. I hope he's
Yeah.
still there. In fact, I hope he's there for the next 5 years. But if we beat him in Gainesville,
Oh yeah,
he's probably
gone.
cooked, right?
I mean, yeah, it's the question is like what do we want versus what will happen. I hope he's still calling plays at that point, and Lagway throws a couple to the guys in orange, the good guys in orange. That's kind of a theme this year, by the way. Heupel keeps calling us the good guys in orange. Love that, dude. I love that theme. We are the good
Yeah.
guys, Heupel. We are the main character this year. I absolutely love it.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so yeah, I hope Napier's around. My prediction is he will not be around, especially after this season. I don't know if they'll do it in the middle of the
Yeah.
season. I feel like they've had the opportunity already if they really wanted to. Getting annihilated by Tennessee in the swamp, though, that could be the straw that broke the camel's back, though, Blake.
Could be the nail in the coffin for sure, because Florida definitely wants to beat Tennessee. That is no doubt. And of course, with this Arkansas game coming up, Austin, we're playing a team who just recently had their coach fired. Honestly, I'd prefer not to have teams come in and potentially
Yeah,
be energized
same.
by a coach change and things like that, especially with Bobby Petrino coaching Arkansas again, at least in the interim. So we'll see how that plays out. Shout out to Matt SS in the chat. Welcome, Matt. And then Matt dropping some great nicknames for Joey. He's got Swagular. He's got Joey Football, the Fireman, Joe Cool, Joe Dirt, Joe and the Volcanoes.
I love it.
Love those nicknames. Love those nicknames. Joey is indeed going to be one of the big reasons that we're going to be able to
Since
continue to perform.
we're talking about roadmap to the playoffs, Blake, and you mentioned the Arkansas game earlier, we gotta mention how old Bobby Petrino's last game in Neyland, which I didn't know this, by the
Yes.
way. I don't know if he's the OC or the head coach at the time, but Bobby Petrino, the interim head coach for Arkansas right now, his last game in Neyland Stadium was with Western Kentucky, and the Vol Talk hosts were at that game, Blake. We were at that game. I can't remember what year it was. It was Cam Sutton's true freshman season. I remember that though, where we had 5 turnovers and 6 plays on defense, multiple turned into touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. Kind of insane. Would love a repeat of that against Arkansas, and
Yep.
and I'm sure we'll probably mention this again in the Arkansas preview show. But yeah, kind of crazy.
Yes, yours truly, Blake and Austin, were at the Western Kentucky game many years ago, like you said, with old Cam Sutton. And yeah, I think thought it was 7 turnovers in a row, 7 possessions in a row, resulting in turnovers. Love to see that. That was a fun thing to watch. I remember, Austin, we were in the stands. Surely it doesn't happen again.
It
And then
just
boom,
kept
it happened
happening.
again. Surely it doesn't happen again. And it happened again. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So, Austin, do you want to end on updating your prediction for the season?
Season
said you're
prediction
predicting that
update.
you said that you are predicting that we are going to make the playoffs. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find our way in the playoff, one way or another. Man, I badly want to be on train with 11-1. I don't love midseason predictions just because, man, so many factors. But I'll give one for the people. I'm going to stick with 10-2. Okay, I'm going to stick with 10-2. It's just tough, man. 7 more games. There's a lot of tough games on the schedule. However, I will say, uh, Herb's shouting out 2013 for that game. I think that sounds about right. 2013 for that Western Kentucky game. Yeah, that was a fun one. But yeah, so I'm gonna say 10-2, but I fully believe that this team could go 11-1. And I know that's been sitting, but I really do. I do think they could. Because every game on the schedule, I'm like, like we could win that one. We could. But the issue is, will we? There's still some question
Right.
marks, some late game management things, some run defense things that I'm like, if I see those things improve, all of a sudden, I think we can compete with anyone in the entire country. And I think Aguilar gives us a chance to do that anyways, to be honest with you. But I think ultimately 10-2 will be enough to get into the playoffs with the SEC schedule, and it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it, folks. Prediction is sticking with 10-2, and we're going to make the playoffs. Love to hear it. Folks, allow me to give you guys a quick update on what our schedule is going to be looking like for the next week and a half or so until we get to the Arkansas game. Shout out Herb in the chat there. Welcome, Herb. And Wesley says Austin is correct. Austin, what our schedule is going to be looking like for the next week and a half or so. So we are going to, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, skip the Sunday show, right? Because we will not have a game to review on Sunday. So we're not going to do the normal Sunday live show. So folks, enjoy your Sunday, go to church, have a nice nap after church, all that good stuff. Austin and myself probably be taking a nap before NFL football starts, and enjoy a stress-free weekend of college football. And it's just going to be pure hate watching, Austin. Rooting for the Commodores against the bad red team. And all that. So,
and we'll see just how bad Penn State will beat UCLA. Just how many touchdowns will Penn State win by against UCLA this weekend?
And the question will be, Austin, does Nico even score a touchdown? Does he get more than 100 yards? The jury is out. We will see after this weekend. But no Sunday show, folks. Enjoy the bye week. And then we'll come back at you on Tuesday with around the usual time, whether it's a premiere style or should hopefully be alive again next Tuesday, Austin. But we'll, one way or another, we'll drop our video or our next episode next Tuesday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, and that will be a preview. And then we'll continue with the regularly scheduled programming. Austin, any other final comments, man?
No, other than we might be dropping some clips. I know all the hardcores, y'all are our hardcores. We really appreciate you all listening and hanging out with us in the chat during the live shows. But for anyone who's missed some of the show, there'll probably be some clips posted throughout this week. Maybe drop a clip on Sunday so people have something to watch, or maybe even on Saturday. We'll see. So we'll continue the clip content. And yeah, obviously appreciate everyone hanging out with us, man. It's a Tuesday, almost 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So really appreciate everyone just hanging out.
Yeah, it's a fun time. That's why we do this. We love chatting with you guys. The chat was great tonight. Well, appreciate Wesley, Herb, Matt, Lynn, Rhonda, Vol Don't Lie early chat, everyone chatting tonight. Appreciate that. Last shout out to the chat. Austin is Lynn's final comment. He says, can't wait to see Austin run a punt back for a touchdown in the Bama game to win the game late in the fourth quarter. Don't hold your breath on that one, Lynn.
Yeah.
But
no doubt.
But folks, again, thank you all for joining the show. Thank you for joining the chat. We love you guys, and we are going to catch you all on the other side of the bye week. Until then, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.